Hey, Scott Markus here again with another installment of haunted filming locations, and boy oh boy do we have a location in store for you today. There is just so much history and hauntings and filming history to talk about, and a lot of it revolves around this very tragic figure here, Elizabeth Short. We will move on from that for the time being. We will get to it. We are at the Millennium Biltmore Hotel, and anybody that knows the Biltmore might think this is kind of a drab location for, we expect more glamour, more glitz. We're gonna get to it. We are actually walking up to a place right now where, yes, it starts to get more glamorous almost immediately. And yeah, there's been filming going on even as we've been here today. I actually wanted to shoot this video about a month ago, but the Apple TV series Mrs. American Pie with Allison Janney and Kristen Wiig was shooting at the time, so I couldn't do it. So we are stepping out right now into the limo arrival area. It's not a part of the hotel that we see very much, you and I coming to stay here. In the 1960s, in 1960 itself, the Democratic National Convention was held here. It's where JFK got the nomination to be the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. It's the place where in 1964, the Beatles stayed when they came to Los Angeles. And of course, there were too many fans to be able to come in off the street, so they landed on the heliport above. But yeah, there's just so much Hollywood history, but you are tuning into this because you want to hear some of the ghost stories too. And this is where, right at these doors right here, a team of East Coast parapsychologists and scientists using cutting-edge experimental equipment, they came up to not only make contact with a ghost, but to maybe capture a ghost. And they succeeded right here in this building, because that is where they discovered a ghost by the name of Slimer. This is the front door, as you see today. Right now, this is the limo arrival area. This was used in Chinatown. This area was used in Wedding Crashers, but this was also where the Ghostbusters pull up to the Sedgewick Hotel. And yeah, while that movie takes place in New York, obviously, Dan Aykroyd was living in Los Angeles at the time. A guy that came from Chicago too, so he was really incorporating a lot of Chicago legends and Los Angeles legends and locations into his inspiration for the movie Ghostbusters. And this is where the Ghostbusters roll up. And so you would assume it might be the main front doors of the Biltmore where they would come in. For one, this is a little bit more out of the way. It's not in the direct line of sight of most attendees of the hotel, but you will see these spiral columns in the film Ghostbusters. You'll see him come right on in here and ask where the ghost is. And by the way, there's a lot more film history going on at this location, and we were going to talk about it all. Well, we're not going to talk about it all because there's a ton. But we will touch on a couple of other locations, maybe some lesser known ones, the type of stuff that I like to talk about, sitcoms. Just showing some more of the beauty of this place. It is just a gorgeous building, built in 1923. So as I'm recording it now, it is 99 years old, coming up on the century birthday of this amazing building. We are gonna walk past the gallery bar right now. We're not gonna go in, although there are some ghost stories associated with it. Apparently a National Treasure, Book of Secrets. I haven't seen it, but this is where they go to hand off some additional pages from John Wilkes Booth's diary. But I know from talking with bartenders that they will see an elderly couple hanging out in the back portion right by the mirror around closing. And they'll have to go and say, hey guys, we're closed for the night. You gotta move on. Before they get to them, they have vanished. Now, we have heard this for 10 years now. This is an ongoing phenomenon that they still talk about. Well, it seems like in Ghostbusters that they go into a ballroom up ahead to the left here. They actually come into this room here, according to some documentation I've seen, and you can definitely match the skylight in here to what you see in the film. The big difference, of course, there's not a chandelier, so that was something that was just added. It was either added for the movie or maybe it was some special effect that they were able to incorporate. But this is the main lobby as it's seen today. Really, really a beautiful location.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Now as we come back here to the bank of elevators, the movie Bachelor Party. Yes, Neil Israel directed, Tom Hanks starring Bachelor Party, used these elevators. They shot all over the building, really, but these elevators are definitely heavily featured in the film. Glorious Rendezvous Court, which was at one point in time the actual main lobby of the hotel, but we are definitely going to take a look at it because it was used in a lot of different great shows, some of my favorites.
I am the hotel manager. This is a respectable establishment. We don't go for any funny business here.
Yeah, quite right. So I see.
Now here is what was once the main lobby. And by the way, there are some really drunk people out here tonight that I'm going to try to talk over and shoot around. But this is what is known today as the Rendezvous Court. And just an absolutely gorgeous building, a gorgeous room, one of the most amazing parts of Los Angeles, I think. I was always very proud to be able to come into here with the tour company, which we just relaunched, by the way. So if you're interested in taking a tour of downtown LA and Hollywood, head over to American Ghost Walks. But this room was used for so many great shows and movies, and does have a very interesting tie into one of the darkest points in LA crime history. I would say American crime history, one of the most famous unsolved murders in history. Before we get to the dark, I guess we'll start with the light, which is that, well, let's see. If you're a fan of The Good Place, Tahani Al-Jamil was at one point tasked with setting up a party that she knew was doomed to fail, and she wanted to host an elegant party. Where else would you do it? If you have all of the resources of the entire afterlife, well, you would pick a room just like this, which she did. This is also where Schmidt and Cece scout out where they want to have their wedding.
It's so beautiful. I feel like I'm inside Kate Blanchett.
We get that a lot.
They also shot outside, and they actually shot on location, actually right outside here as well. You see them walking past these pillars, and this is Pershing Square, just right across the street here. And of course, in New Girl, as they are racing their competitors to get the room, there is a table set up right by this sign that mentions the Gold Room right there. So yes, this hallway plays into so many feature films and TV shows. Before I even get into the true crime element, which, yeah, I keep teasing it away, but we had an interview just recently with a member of the cleaning staff, the maid staff right out here, and we asked her, do you know any ghost stories about this location? She said, at first, no. I was like, well, here's one. And that's when the good stuff comes out sometimes. She said a friend of hers who is a security guard had a conversation with a little boy, thought to be about 9 years old. That was just an estimate. And at the end of the conversation, thought, it felt a little bit weird about it, felt uneasy. So he thought, well, I'm gonna go up to the security room. I'm gonna find the tapes. I'm gonna find the film, make sure that the little kid got back to whatever room belonged to them, nice, safe and sound. And at that point, pulled back the tape and found footage of him talking to himself. There was no child captured on video. Really a remarkable, amazing story. So this is the last location that Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, was ever seen alive. She was seen making frantic phone calls from a bank of telephones in this room. And I don't know for sure. I would love to be able to verify this, but I'm gonna guess if you were to put a bank of phones somewhere, it would be around this area here. Obviously, we see that there was a doorway here that has been plastered up. So I don't really know exactly how things looked in 1947, but definitely from this room, she was last seen making those phone calls and then getting in a car and driving out that door. She was not seen again for 5 or 6 days until, of course, eventually her body was found cut in half, mutilated in a part of Los Angeles known today as Leimert Park and the West Adams neighborhood. Really just a devastatingly tragic life cut short. She was only 22 years old. And one of the enduring mysteries, and something that I really hope paranormal investigation can do, is maybe if enough people come and do EVP sessions in this area, maybe we'll be able to pick up on something from Elizabeth, or even just get a snippet of a residual haunting of those phone calls she was making. If just something can give a little bit of a clue, a word, a name, that it could open some doors. That is really what I hope when it comes to my loftiest goals when it comes to paranormal investigation. Never noticed this before. The artwork in this building is fantastic. I'm not a big fan of these cherub faces that are right barely overhead here in this hall. A lot of the work here that you see, the artisans that created it are also most famously known for work that they did in the Vatican and in the White House. So we are talking about the top craftspeople of their time. Let's head back upstairs. I just realized I have to come back to the Rendezvous Court because one other thing that I forgot to mention, this is where Eddie Murphy conned his way into getting a free room here by claiming that he was a reporter for Rolling Stone magazine in Beverly Hills Cop. And when I was a kid, I had those two movies, Ghostbusters and Beverly Hills Cop, recorded on the same VHS tape back in the early HBO days. And I watched those on a loop. I had no idea that they were both shot right here at the Biltmore. Got one last location to show you before we sign off. So the hallways themselves were not used in Ghostbusters. That was all shot on a soundstage. But one other part of the Biltmore was used for a different location altogether in Ghostbusters, and here we have it right here. And as I sign off, again, I just want to say that this is a place that is associated with JFK, associated with so many movie stars, so many presidents through the years, the Beatles and Slimer, and then local Los Angeles history beyond the entertainment industry. And again, just so many films throughout the years. Oh, and this is where the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences was created, a foundation led by different studio heads to celebrate the best in film. So yes, 8 different Academy Award ceremonies were held in this location. Last filming location, back to Ghostbusters. We got to finish it how we started. And while it wasn't the Sedgewick for this one, this was Dana Barrett's staircase.
Hey, where these stairs go? They go up.
So if you make it all the way to the top, you just may have to battle Gozer. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
It looks like we're in the teens somewhere.
But when we get to 20, tell me. I'm gonna throw up.